I'm going to, this is tongue-in-cheek, I want to make this the last video I ever do about the Kioti K9 side-by-side. I don't know if that's possible because there's always something coming up with this thing. And in one video, I think my last video on this machine here, I made a comment, yeah, it's excellent for us, you know, it works well for us out here, but at the same time I was complaining about it, and somebody commented and said, so which is it? Do you like it or not? You know, and well, hello friends. It's been a minute or two, hasn't it? I'm still alive, still doing well. Just took a little bit of time off from social media for a little bit there and addressed some of the issues floating around here at Heartland. We have trees that are down and we need to collect more firewood. It's kind of late in the season to be doing that, but we got a lot of dead wood that can be cut up and put in the fire right away. So a lot of that stuff is getting done. We built a new deck on the house. There's a video on that coming out here soon. It's I'm going to try to keep that under 30 minutes if I can. So I'm working really hard to reduce about 4 hours of footage down to 20 or 30 minutes. But folks, I hope you're doing well. Terry White, thanks for checking in on me. Terry White is South Carolina, right? Terry, I think that's where you're from. And he keeps texting me and wanting to see how I'm doing, wanting to know if things are going well, and says he's praying for me, and I appreciate all of that. That's great. That's one thing I love about this medium right here is I get to meet people from all over the country, even the world actually, and it's not routine. You know, I really enjoy engaging with you folks in the comments, and some of you I've gotten to know personally, and we share text messages and phone calls and stuff like that. So it's really awesome. Spent a good weekend with my good friend Tom and Marie Hockenbrough out in the west side of Ohio, flatland out there. Their highest mountain is a speed bump in the highway. I don't even know if they have those, but we had a great weekend out there, and it's just been kind of a relaxful time for us. We're into a lot of stuff, folks, and I want to make this, I'm going to, this is tongue-in-cheek, I want to make this the last video I ever do about the Kioti K9 side-by-side. I don't know if that's possible because there's always something coming up with this thing. And in one video, I think my last video on this machine here, I made a comment, yeah, it's excellent for us, you know, it works well for us out here, but at the same time I was complaining about it, and somebody commented and said, so which is it? Do you like it or not? You know, and I'm glad we have it. It's a good workhorse. It's been reliable. It's just that there are a lot of quirky little things with it. And the latest thing I noticed is 1 year ago, almost to the date, I had to replace the battery in it, and it was only like 2 years old, 2.5 years old at that time. And I just thought it was unusual to have to replace a lead acid battery that early, but it was completely dead and ruined. So replaced it. Well, a year later, just last month actually, the battery started dying. I couldn't keep it charged. So it led me to look at the alternator, and what I found is something I should have noticed a long time ago, and actually I did notice it a long time ago, that when I would go in to change the oil, and before I would button everything back up again, I'd run the engine, and I noticed that the alternator just wiggled in there. It was like just going crazy, vibrating, and I thought, well, how is that efficient for operating, you know, the alternator and all of that, and keeping the battery charged? And I kind of scratched my head and I thought, well, that's just weird. So I tightened it up. You know, there's a adjustment bracket on the top. I loosened the bolt, adjusted the belt tension and tightened it down there, but it still was rattling. Well, I didn't put all that together then. I just thought, it must be just the design. So this time though, I got to looking at the alternator. I pulled the alternator out, and when I did, I noticed that the mounting bracket below the alternator had about 1/10 of an inch, 2/10 of an inch gap in it, so that you couldn't tighten it. It would just kind of slosh around on the mount. So that threw up a red flag, and when I was doing some troubleshooting on the bench with the alternator, I noticed that it seemed to be working okay on the bench. So I went to put it back in, And I thought, now how am I going to get that space out of there, that gap out of there? Well, I was putting a nut back on, I dropped the nut, it went down into the pan below the vehicle, and when I shined a light down there, I noticed there was a washer. It actually turned out to be a 2/10 of an inch spacer, and down there with the nut that I dropped. And I thought, where did that spacer come from? Has it been in the bottom of this vehicle for the last 3 years? And hey, Maverick. And my assumption is, yeah, it had to be, because I've never had the alternator off of this machine. And so I fished that out of there with a magnet, and sure enough, it was just the right thickness to take up all the slop in that mount, put it back in, and man, it's beautiful. It reduced the noise, the engine noise. We were riding around with that thing thinking, man, these things are noisy. Not only is it diesel, but it has a bunch of rattles, and the alternator was rattling. Well, it rattled to the point also where the upper adjustment bracket, you know, the bracket is curved, has an arm, or it has a slot in the middle. And one of the lower pieces of steel is actually cracked from the vibration, is my assumption. So I called the dealer and, you know, said, hey, I got to replace this bracket. I told him the whole story, and I said, this thing was this way from the factory. And he said, oh, no, couldn't have been. You must have taken that alternator out and dropped that washer down in there. And I said, no, I've never had it out. And, you know, and they, of course, didn't believe me at all. And this is the thing that ticks me off. I love those people down at Owens Implement, don't get me wrong. They're great folks. But I hate being told I'm a liar in so many words. So that kind of disappointed me. But, you know, I look at it as, well, they probably get a lot of customers who don't know what they're doing, a lot of customers who just try to hack their way through life, and then they end up having to fix their problems. But bottom line is, they wouldn't give me any kind of a workmanship warranty on the part, so I have to spend another $36 on that upper adjustment arm for the alternator. But that's life, folks. That's just life. I'm not complaining, I'm just saying that's where we are in life. People would just be honest, I think life would be a whole lot better, wouldn't it? Just tell the truth. Be a person who stands for truth. Truth in everything. Don't lie to yourself, don't lie to other people. That's another long discussion we could get into. But anyway, so I just wanted to say, this is hopefully the last video I'm going to do on this Kioti K9 side-by-side. Folks, I don't know what to tell you, except if you go to buy one of these things, make sure you look it over real good. Pop the hood on the engine and take a look at how things are mounted. Run it, start it there at the dealership, take it for a ride, see if the noise levels are making sense. But I wish you didn't have to do that, but you know what? Again, it's the world we live in right now. And you know, and I can't say that that's just a sign of the times, because we've always had issues with workmanship. That's why we have workmanship warranties and things like that my whole life I've been around warranties. So that's not out of the ordinary, but I'm just saying, on this particular thing, I've had so many things. I've spent so much money after the fact just repairing minor things, brackets for the windshield and hinges, and what else do I have? And of course a second battery now, and then this part for the alternator. It's just one thing after another, and it gets a little annoying after a period of time. But now I'm going to turn right around and I'm going to take it out in the woods. I'm going to do some firewood cutting out there. This thing's going to haul back a ton of wood, literally a ton. It'll haul a ton. So that's where I'm at, folks. Other than that, I hope you guys are doing well out there. Andy Shirley, I hope your grandson is doing well. I haven't checked in with you for a while, but send me a text, let me know how he's doing. And all my other friends out there, John Gray and Tom Hockenbraw, and man, Jeremy Weaver and Wayne Wango Weaver, Angie Kay, all you folks out there. There's so many that I feel guilty even starting to name them, because I feel like I'm going to leave somebody out. I don't want to leave anybody out. All of you have had an impact on my life, and I really appreciate that. So listen, I'm getting into a babble mode now, and the red flags are going off in my mind, and I'm starting to have to pull in the reins on my speech. And just tell you folks to be kind out there, folks. We are living in a world right now, and this is a sign of the times, I really believe, where we are so fractured in our politics and our religion and so many different areas of life. The only thing that can penetrate all of that stuff is the acts of love that we carry out toward other people, and it goes beyond that word kindness. But folks, somewhere down there you got to stoke up the flames of love in your life and overlook other people's opinions and preferences and things like that. Stick up for your rights, stand up for what's right, stand up for what's true, but don't condemn people to death. Don't condemn people to violence. Really, let's just love one another, folks. And it starts with yourself. It starts between you and your Creator. It extends into your immediate family. If you don't have children, you have aunts and uncles, brothers and sisters. Extend that love to them. And then it reaches out into the community around us. So, folks, do that. Find somebody in your life who you haven't talked to for a long time because you've had some differences. You've had some irreconcilable debates or arguments, and these bad feelings have grown. Find that person and extend some loving kindness to that person, would you, folks? All right. I know you'll do that. I'll talk to you all soon, hopefully in this deck video once it's released. Take care.